It's Wednesday. It's Getting Over the Hump with Dori. Let me just turn this down a little, because we're listening to Jungle Man Sam in the background. I'm in a Vegas mood today. I'm in a good mood today. It's Wednesday, and today we're going to chat about fasting. So, if you guys saw, I posted earlier, and there's some links in there to a few things. So, the first link you're going to find is a video from Dr. Ken Berry that he made a year ago that I based fasting bomb melts off of. So you guys can check out that video, his updated version for this year, and the video library of the fasting bomb melts. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's talk about fasting first. Now, there are different kinds of fasting, right? Like, there is intermittent fasting, there's long-term fasting, there's water fasting, you've heard about egg fasts and beef and butter fast. There's all different kinds of ways to fast. So I figured the first thing we would do to get started is we're going to take a look at our Maria Emmerich Ketogenic Quick Easy Ketogenic Cooking Cookbook, and we're going to take a look at the section that she has about fasting in here. So go check out Maria's book. You guys can get it on Amazon, and I put the link as well if you guys want to have access to this cookbook at home. But what I love is it's got more than just recipes, which it abounds. Do not get me wrong, it abounds with recipes, but it has a lot of really good basic information in here as well. So with Maria's permission, we're going to take some of the information she has and discuss that today. So let's start with, right at the very beginning, what is intermittent fasting. So according to our Maria Emmerich cookbook, breakfast isn't the most important meal of the day. Breaking your fast, or breakfast, is. Fasting isn't really as drastic as it sounds. When you sleep, you're already starting to fast a little. During your sleep, you start to fast. In the first 10 hours after eating, your body is digesting and absorbing nutrients. It isn't until after not eating for 10 hours that you actually get into a fasted state. If you restrict your window of eating to only 7 hours or 6 hours a day is better, then after 10 or 12 hours of not eating, you get into a fasted state where you burn fat more efficiently. When I first heard about intermittent fasting, IF, I thought, no, this can't be good for anyone who wants to maintain their muscle. But a ketogenic diet spares protein from being oxidized, which preserves the muscle. This is why you do not go into starvation mode. As I started putting IF into practice, not only did I experience physical health benefits, but mental benefits were outstanding. Now I work and write in a fasted state for about 3 hours in the morning, and my mind has never been clearer. Remember, fasting is not a diet, it's a pattern of eating. You can eat very poorly while practicing intermittent fasting, but that decision would cause you to reap fewer benefits than you would if you eat a well-formulated keto-adapted diet. So what are some of the benefits of intermittent fasting? And again, we're going to read directly from Maria's book on this section. 1, it saves time. Intermittent fasting saves you time. As you aren't thinking about food, you're going to eat all day. And how much time would that save? If you're not planning a breakfast, a lunch, a dinner, plus 3 snacks in the standard American diet, how much time are you saving a day if you're eating 1 or 2 meals a day? So it's going to save you a lot of time in that prep. You generally eat less at each meal and usually eat 2 meals instead of 3. So meal planning and preparation is reduced. Also, as your cravings and appetite decline, you spend less time thinking about food. And that is an amazing point. convey health benefits. Intermittent fasting, as well as long-term multiple-day fasting, is not only natural for our bodies when in a ketogenic state, but also has many health benefits. Intermittent fasting can improve mitochondria health and increase mitochondrial efficiency, energy efficiency. How proud of me are you guys? I said that. I'm smooth. My grade 3 reading teacher would be very proud of me right now, just saying. Hashtag. Help you live longer and slow aging. Reduce the risk of cancer and cardiovascular disease. Reduce inflammation and lower triglyceride levels. Help increase ketones, which improves focus, memory, and further suppresses appetite. It also accelerates weight loss. Practicing intermittent fasting in combination with a ketogenic lifestyle speeds weight loss. This is why I suggest that if you practice intermittent fasting following the 7 or 30-day weight loss and healing meal plan, and a ketogenic lifestyle greatly reduces your appetite, which makes intermittent fasting easier to do. In fact, many times my clients have to remind themselves to eat. And I will say that's very common. As you get adapted and as you become fat adapted, a lesser quantity of higher quality food makes you feel more full. So you're not going to feel like you need to eat 6 times a day. So let's look at some of the guidelines, and then I want to talk to you guys about my experience with intermittent fasting. But let's just go over the basic guidelines that we can read directly, and then I'll share with you my experience. When implementing IF routine, you want to follow a couple of simple guidelines. All of the food needs to be eaten within a 6 to 8 hour window. This eating window can be in the morning, breaking your fast in the morning, or later in the day, skip your fast, break your fast at noon. This is shown in the charts below. So I'll show you guys. It's kind of hard to see the chart, but I'll show it to you. Just make sure to eat all of your food for the day during this window of time. Outside of that window, consume water and other low-calorie liquids like tea. Some people like coffee. The general rule is that anything over 50 calories will break your fast. So Maria says no bulletproof coffee. Now, I've seen both sides of this debate, and it's debatable what will break your fast in a meaningful fashion. Some people do add a little bit of heavy cream or a little bit of fat, and they don't find it bothers them. For some people, just a teeny little bit of fat, and it sets their threshold. So that's something we really need to choose individually. I can say without question, if you're adding sweetener, that will definitely 1,000,000% break your fast. So let's talk a little bit about intermittent fasting and me, because I was keto for a while, and then all of a sudden I heard this intermittent fasting, it's the buzzword, everybody's doing it, everybody's seeing so much success, and they're losing a bunch of weight, and it's working for them awesome. And I started to research intermittent fasting, and I was kind of disappointed because I thought it was something magical and mystical, like keto wizardry, that was going to, help me boost. And what I realized is I was already doing it. I was already doing it. When I first started keto, I forced myself to eat breakfast because breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and we're supposed to eat it, and also you'll die if you don't have breakfast. I don't know if your mom loved you enough to tell you, but my mom loved me enough to tell me that without breakfast, I might die. So when I first started keto, I switched the foods I was eating, but not the time pattern in which I was eating originally. I was still eating a breakfast, a snack, a lunch, a dinner, an evening snack, a bedtime snack. I was doing the 6 meals a day. And then one day, and I don't even know what changed that day, I was talking with somebody about eating on your own schedule, and eating in the morning always did one of two things. either it made me nauseous first thing during the day, or it set me into what I could only describe as starvation mode. And I felt hungry all day long. And it didn't matter how much I ate, I never really felt full. I never felt satiated. I always felt like I was hungry, but kind of over full at the same time. And I know that sounds weird, but it was literally the sensation of feeling like I was hungry and feeling like I was full at the same time. So I decided I wasn't going to force myself to eat breakfast. I was going to eat when I was hungry. And I started naturally eating later and later in the day. And by the time I looked into intermittent fasting, which literally is eating 6 hours of the day and not eating the rest of the day, I was already doing it on my own. I was having my first meal around 3 p.m. and my last meal snack between 10 and 11. So my fasting window is overnight until mid-afternoon. And that you can adjust to your own schedule, what works out well for you. If you are up really early in the morning and you don't have time to make breakfast, it's super convenient to skip breakfast. If you are up early in the day but you go to bed really early at night, it's really easy to stop eating at 6 p.m. if you go to bed at 8. So as long as you're adjusting to your own natural schedule, it's not going to feel like it's a big bad change. If you're just bumping back your breakfast and bringing back your last meal of the day to slowly close in the window of when you eat your food. I made some of the beginner mistakes that everybody makes with fasting. I didn't realize that my sweetener in my coffee was breaking my fast first thing in the morning. Oops, my bad. I still saw some of the benefits of fasting, and even if you're not doing it perfect, you're still going to see some of the benefits of intermittent fasting, of long-term fasting. We don't live in a world of absolutes where you absolutely have to do everything absolutely perfect to see any benefit of. But if you want to maximize your benefits from fasting, if you have specific goals, if you are trying to tighten skin areas, if you are trying to break a stall, if you are focusing on cutting, if you're a bodybuilder, all of these things make a difference in how we fast and how that works into our everyday life. So, we are just only on Instagram today. We're not on YouTube or on Facebook because I wanted to be able to watch a couple videos with you guys on my iPad. So I'm going to take a quick scroll and see if you guys have any questions, and then we're going to watch a couple quick videos and chat a little bit about what we see in those and see what you guys think. Because at the end of the day, we all have our own opinion. You know, what works for us, what doesn't work for us, and every body is different. So it's going to work a little bit differently for all of us. So I would love to hear your guys' opinions, and if you do fast, how it works for you, if it's something you're enjoying, if it's something you struggle with. Let's chat about that. So let's get us a couple videos. Now, I figured what we would do is we would watch the updated version that Dr. Ken posted about what you can have to drink while you're fasting. Now, what I had originally based my fasting bombs off of was a video that he posted a year ago, and I will share that one with you guys as well. But the updated version is a little bit shorter video, so we're gonna watch that one first. So let's get this loaded up. This is Dr. Ken. I'm gonna wait till the commercial's over.
Best tips for women.
And if you guys don't subscribe to Dr. Ken's YouTube, take a second and pop over and subscribe. Okay, let's get this bigger there. Turn it that way. I was watching this one earlier, so I'm gonna have to restart it for you.
Hey, this is Dr. Dori. In this video, which I'm going to try to keep short, I'm going to take a little bit deeper dive into what you can drink when you're fasting. So if you're trying to intermittently fast, time restrict your eating window,
trying to get you guys less glare.
I'm going to talk about the fluids that you can drink and not meaningfully break your fast. Now, if you know someone who's just getting started with fasting and would like this information, please share this with them on their Facebook, their Instagram. You can share it on your own Facebook, and you're always welcome to share this sort of video in your groups on Facebook and other places. That helps me reach and help so many more people. Now, let's jump into this and let's talk about this. First of all, I need to know, what is your goal for fasting? If your goal is to ramp up autophagy, and if you don't know what that is, I've got a video on that, on autophagy on this channel, and then also on my Facebook page. Autophagy is the process by which your body auto-digests older tissues, older cells that aren't working as well as they should be, and making new cells out of that material. It's a very powerful thing that can help tighten your skin. It can help you even digest and break down early cancers and get rid of them. Autophagy is very powerful. You need to look into that if you don't already know about it. But if your goal is to ramp up autophagy as high as you can, you need to water fast. You need to drink water only, and you need to take your minerals, which is another name for salt. And the most common ones you're going to need are sodium, chloride, magnesium, and potassium, right? And so if that's your goal, is to maximize autophagy, you need to water fast, and that's it. Now, if your goal is to keep your insulin level very, very low, and your inflammation level very low, then you can do the other things that I'm going to talk about in this video. You will still get some of the autophagy benefits by using these other fluids, maybe not as much as you would get with water, okay? So let's talk about that. First of all is water. That is the number one liquid to fast with, okay? The whole point of fasting in the modern sense is to keep your insulin level very low, keep your inflammation very low, to maximize autophagy. But also, since we're modern humans and we're not living out in the woods, we also want to not suffer, right? We want to mimic fasting but not have the suffering that comes along with starving yourself. And so by using salt and by using a little bit of fat, you can mimic the fasting benefits. You're not going to get 100% of them, but you're going to get a lot of them by doing it the way I'm going to explain to you below. And so you can fast with water. No one has a problem with that. No one questions that. You can put salt in the water. And for me, when I'm fasting, salt helps to curb my hunger greatly, okay? You can also put 1 or 2 drops of lemon juice or lime juice. I don't think any of the experts would argue that that would meaningfully raise your insulin level and break your fast. If you put the juice from an entire lemon, yes, that's probably going to break your fast. But 1 or 2 drops to knock the water flavor off the water. Some people hate the taste of water. I hate some water. But you have to do that. Now, somebody asked me the other day, how come we have to put all these minerals in our water or in our food, the magnesium, the potassium, the sodium? I mean, our ancestors didn't do that. Well, you have to remember, they used to eat much more fatty meat than we usually do. And there's tons of minerals in the meat, right? But they also used to drink water from where? Not from the tap. The only minerals that our water currently has in it in the United States is chlorine and fluoride. And those aren't really very helpful minerals. Our ancestors used to drink spring water. They used to drink creek water, river water, lake water, mud puddle water. And all those sources of water still are very rich in the minerals. But these days, our gut isn't used to that kind of water. And so I promise you'll pay with disaster pants and maybe a more serious infection if you try to do that. It's better to just add the minerals back into the water that used to be there naturally. Now, the next liquid you can fast with absolutely is real tea. And I say that because you can't go buy Lipton tea in the bottle and expect that to be good for you. It's not. You want to make your own tea, whether it's you can have hot tea, you can have iced tea, you can have green tea, black tea. All those are great for fasting. They actually have things in them that will increase your metabolic rate, help you burn off the energy faster. But you can put a little spoonful of butter in your hot tea. You can put a drop or 2 of lemon or lime. You can add salt to your tea. All of those things will help you fast, will help keep your insulin level
Not
low
these
so
kind
you
of
can
tea.
move towards your health goals, whether that's weight loss or otherwise, right? The next liquid is coffee. Almost no one disagrees that you can fast with coffee. Black coffee is obviously the best, or black coffee with a little salt in it. But if you're hungry and you're suffering and you're miserable, you can add a teaspoon of butter or ghee or MCT oil to your coffee. Adding more fat to your coffee is not magic. You just want just enough fat so you're not suffering, you're not hungry, right? So you can continue with your day, you can do the job you have to do and not have hunger pains distracting you, okay? So my current morning keto coffee is very strong Sumatra coffee with a teaspoon of butter and a big pinch of salt. And I've worked great here at the Berry Clinic doing that. I see lots of patients every day I'm here, and I don't get tired. I'm not starving. My stomach's not growling, but my insulin level stays very low, so I'm able to burn the fat that I'm trying to get to. And I also have some autophagy benefits from that, although not as much as I would have if I were just using water, right? The next liquid you can fast with, without doubt, is Ketorade. Nisha and I did a video on YouTube, and it'll pop up towards the end of this video, and you can watch that if you don't know what Ketorade is or how to make Ketorade. But you want to leave the sweetener out, because we'll talk about the sweet things here in a minute and why they probably do meaningfully break your fast. But Ketorade with no sweetener is also a great liquid you can sip on during your fast. You're getting all your minerals, and you can actually make your Ketorade a science experiment. We put a couple of drops of iodine in ours and lots of different minerals and even some ACV, and we'll talk about that, which is apple cider vinegar. The next liquid you can fast with is pickle juice, which is basically salty water, right? This is Nisha's personal favorite. She loves pickle juice. I'll catch her sometimes drinking it out of the pickle jar out of the fridge, and I pretend to be upset by that, but I'm really not. But you don't want, obviously, to use the juice from sweet pickles, like bread and butter pickles or some other pickle like that. It needs to have 0 carbs, 0 sweetener, 0 sugar. But pickle juice is fine in that case. Now, a couple of maybes that for some people it might work fine, for other people it won't work so fine, is heavy whipping cream. A lot of people can use that in the beginning, but a lot of people stall after a few months of using heavy whipping cream in their coffee, because it does have a small amount of protein and it does have a small amount of carbohydrates still in it, and both of those might meaningfully elevate your insulin and break your fast. And so plus or minus on the heavy whipping cream, I know it's delicious. I know, trust me. I used to put so much heavy whipping cream in my coffee earlier in my journey, but now if I did that, it would definitely stall my progress and start to make me gain weight. And so another thing is soft drinks. You may have seen Keto in Canada. Joanna's a friend of mine. She can do her fasting fine with Diet Coke. It works great for her. For other people, it doesn't work because of that sweet taste, okay? Now let me go ahead and tell you why any sweet taste in your liquid might break your fast. And I think for some people this is a bigger deal than for others. There's this thing in human beings, and actually in all mammals, called the cephalic phase insulin response. When you have a sweet taste in your mouth, it automatically raises your insulin level, because think about it, 50,000 years ago, if our ancestors had something sweet tasting in their mouth, there were carbs coming down the pike. And so our body, always trying to keep the blood sugar as low as it can, because that's the healthiest state for humans, would immediately bump up the insulin in anticipation of the coming carbohydrates. And so even if you're using a good sweetener like stevia, monk fruit extract, erythritol, xylitol, some of those, you may still bump your insulin level a meaningful amount and break your fast with those. And so my advice is, if you're stalled and you're not making the progress you want to make, you've got to get the sweeteners, all sweeteners, out of your fasting liquid. Obviously, sugar, honey, agave nectar, they're going to be terrible. You don't want to do those at all. But for some people, even the non-caloric sweeteners will still meaningfully break your fast. So keep that in mind. Now let's talk about some absolute no's, that you do not want this in your fasting liquid, whichever liquid you choose. And that is, number one is bone broth. Now, I am a huge proponent of the health magic that real homemade bone broth will give you, but it will absolutely break your fast. It has amino acids and proteins and other things that will absolutely break your fast. I'm sorry, you can't use that to fast with if your goal is to keep your insulin level very low, okay? Another big no is collagen powders. A lot of people put collagen powder in their fasting liquid. Absolutely breaks your fast. Amino acids are known to break a fast. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about the science behind this. Branched chain amino acids obviously are amino acids, but I feel like I have to say this because the supplement marketing companies really push branched chain amino acids, and they are maybe good for some people. If you're lifting at a competitive level, you might need those. I don't think normal people need those at all, and you definitely don't want them in your fasting liquid if weight loss is one of your health improvement goals. Any protein, any carbohydrate, any sweet taste is going to probably break your fast. Definitely the protein and carbs will break your fast. The sweet taste may or may not, depending on your individual metabolism. Nut milks, coconut milk, almond milk, which I think probably play a part in some people's ketogenic way of eating, don't need to be in your fasting liquid. They will break your fast. And lastly, exogenous ketones. I've got 3 videos on this channel about exogenous ketones and what I think about them. They definitely don't need to be in your fasting liquid. Now, I want to know, what's your favorite liquid to fast with? Will you put it down in the comments below? And then also, if you have any questions about, hey, what about this? Can I put that? Can I put this? Leave your questions in the comments, and I'm going to try to answer as many as I can. I get a lot of comments, but I'm going to try. Okay, now, if this video helped you, please
So, we're going to sign off from Dr. Ken, and we're going to talk a little bit more about how it kind of works for me in my everyday life and how it works for you guys in your everyday life. So, first question that we have to consider is, what benefits are you looking for? Are you looking to just break a stall? Are you looking for some real serious benefits? And from there, you get to decide what kind of fasting works for you. Now, I get these from Keto Chow, and they're awesome. They're fasting drops. They're a magnesium and potassium blend. So I really like these. I will say that I don't use them every day for fasting, but what I do use them for is for Shark Week. When I get bloated, when I'm crampy, when I don't sleep well, I will add this to my coffee, to my water, to my drinks, and it alleviates a lot of that. But for some people who are fasting every day, something like this is easier than trying to measure out enough salts, enough magnesium, enough potassium to get everything that you need all together. So I think we've pretty much covered, unless you guys have any questions about the basics of fasting. Now, long-term fasting would be different. Specific kinds of like egg fast, beef fast, those are different. If you guys want to talk about those, then we can talk about those another day, and we can do a little bit of research together, and we can hang out and we can talk about what kind of fasting works best for you and how frequently you should be doing that. I intermittent fast 7 days a week, and I'm comfortable with that. Some people like to fast a couple of days a week and then eat in a regular window the rest of the week. So the beauty is we get to decide all of those things by ourselves. Now, before I sign out with you guys, I don't know how much time we have left, but I'm hoping we can get to it. I hosted a watch party on Facebook today, and one of the questions was, I don't know how to figure out my macros. How do I figure out my macros? Every calculator is going to give you a different calculation, and they base them on averages. So for me, I knew that the 1,600 calories a day that the macros calculator said I should eat wasn't going to work for me. So what I did was what I call reverse tracking. So I kept in mind my percentages of fats, carbs, and proteins, and then I tracked what I comfortably eat. Because of my weight loss surgery, my food intake is quite restricted. And for some people who are small eaters, they find the same issue. You have a small stomach, you don't eat a lot. So instead of taking 1,600 as a goal and aiming for what I should eat, I kept my percentages in mind and I tracked what I do eat comfortably for 2 months. Now, I didn't restrict myself. I allowed myself to eat when I wanted to. I stopped eating when I was satisfied. And at the end of that 2 months, I took those numbers and I looked at how much I eat in an average day. And then I adjusted my protein levels. I realized I eat a slightly lower amount of protein and I eat a little bit more fat. So I adjusted those numbers, and that's what works for me, and that's how I figured out what works for me. Beyond that, I don't know any other way to figure it out on your own for yourself other than to track what you comfortably eat. And if you know that at that point you're going to eat as much as you want, that's goal one. Goal one is to not feel like you're suffering, like you're deprived, like you're not getting enough food. And I promise the quantity of food you eat will go down as you get fat adapted. So for me, I know that at some points calorie restriction can make a difference in your journey. I don't feel like that point is at the very beginning. I feel like at the beginning, your main focus is getting used to eating new foods, making substitutions, focus on getting fat adapted, focus on switching your body from burning carbs and sugars to burning fat for fuel. And I feel like if you focus there first, then everything else kind of falls into place. So I encourage you guys to take your own journey into your own hands, and nobody knows what works better for you than you do. So become your own expert, do your own research, experiment with your diet, adjust your amounts of fats and proteins, and see what works for you. Because somebody can be exactly like you. They can be your same height, your same weight, your same age, but their macros won't work for you. So I encourage you to, once you understand the basics of keto and you know what foods to eat and you know you're not hungry anymore, that's when we get to start experimenting and figuring out, do I need a little bit more fat? Do I need a little bit less fat? And these are the things that we get to play with on our own. And I think that that's the beauty of a ketogenic diet, is it's so customizable and we can really work it around our lifestyle and what works for us. So I'm going to sign out. Let's get us a song back to dance to. And I'll hang out with you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow is Spill the Tea Thursday. So I haven't decided what we're going to gossip about yet. Do you guys have any thoughts? Have you seen anything that's absolutely crazy out there in this last week that we need to talk about? Is there anything that, has come up? Any new products? Anything you guys want me to research and talk about tomorrow? Let me know. Otherwise, I'm just going to surf around and see what's ticking me off, because that's what Thursdays are about. Thursdays are where we get together and talk about all things keto that tick us off. So if there's anything that's been a thorn in your side this week, over the last couple weeks, that you want to dig a little deeper in and, spill a little tea about, let me know and let's do it tomorrow. It's going to be a fun day, and we're winding up our week for Vegas, baby. Vegas! This time next week, we're already going to be in Vegas. I just want to prepare you guys for that. We will roll in Tuesday night. So by this time next week, we're going to be getting over the hump in Vegas, baby, Vegas. So let's get our song, and I will hang out with you guys again tomorrow. I got to get some things done around my house. I always feel like I have so much time. I haven't started packing yet. You want to know what's worse than I haven't started packing yet? A thought occurred to me yesterday. Hey, Dori, you haven't tried on any of your summer clothes since summer. You're 2 sizes smaller than you were in the summer, Dori. So I think I have a day of trying on clothes ahead of me. Otherwise, I will arrive in Vegas with all clothes that don't fit me. Oh my goodness. I will see you guys tomorrow. Have an amazing day. And I hope that if you're having a rough day, I hope this helps you get over the hump. I'll see you guys tomorrow. All clothes shopping. Yes, we're going to do some of that in Vegas. I don't have a huge budget, but we're going to look for a few things. Just a couple gems. And also, I'm not going to lie. I feel like Vegas is the one place in the world you can totally wear fishnet. I foresee an 80s dance party night where Dori wears fishnet and neon stuff. I see that happening. I do. I feel that in my future. Who's coming? I'll see you guys tomorrow.